Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. While you continue to enjoy your desserts, we have a speaker for about 15 minutes to share a very special message. Many of you in this room have supported volunteerism through donating examiners and judges to CCE, CAPE, and CTA, and we deeply value that contribution. And the woman I'm about to introduce has tremendous experience in volunteerism. I spoke of her organization, the Shea Center, earlier today. And what we know about the Shea Center is they have about 600 volunteers a year, as I mentioned earlier. And they've actually quantified the value of giving back to an organization that does promote volunteerism. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dana Butler-Moberg to you. She's the Executive Director of the Shea Center for Therapeutic Riding. And Dana has her dream job. First of all, she is a very experienced fourth-level dressage rider. Joining the Shea Center has been a perfect combination of her love for horses in the equine field, in addition to her professional desire to promote the community. And without further ado, I'd like to have Dana come join me upstage. She is the Executive Director of the Shea Center, Dana Butler-Moberg.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us today, and thank you, Denise. Denise is absolutely one of our outstanding and exceptional volunteers at the Shea Center, and it really takes that and more to make us work. And what's really exciting to me in being asked to speak here today, one wouldn't think necessarily that Shea Center volunteerism ties into the extraordinary things that you do with the Baldridge Awards, with all of the hard work that you do at your companies as award recipients or as volunteers. But I have a couple of things that I'd like to share with you just briefly from our workshop that we just did. And it's the idea of getting ahead by giving back, how philanthropy and volunteerism transforms your workplace and the world. And I have a thought for you. This may not be what exactly it appears to be. So when you look at this photo, some of you might see restaurant, some of our other suggestions from our workshop, chef. And in fact, this is a corporate training ground. This is a corporate training ground for how to open a restaurant for $1,500 in just about 8 hours, and then close the restaurant for $1,500. These are our good friends at Claim Jumper. And we had an extraordinary, wonderful, and amazing partnership with this organization for the many years before they were sold, for 24 years. And also volunteering from this organization was their service corps. So these folks all came, and yet the Shea Center, a small nonprofit organization in San Juan Capistrano, became the training ground for a corporate chain of restaurants that's 40, at the time, it was 42 restaurants large in 11 states. And you wouldn't think that we would become their vice president of training's main setting for when it's time to open a new restaurant. Let's send everybody to the barbecue, and let's develop the leadership core within our team by having them do a different aspect and job at the barbecue. So this really sets the stage for what you are doing and what you're being recognized for doing today. I thought I'd give you a little bit of information about what we look like. By the way, this is actually the barbecue. This is that restaurant for $1,500 that's set up in just one day. But why we do it and what we're here to do is really something quite extraordinary. We're here to change lives. And at the Shea Center, we see more than 600 people every week, every year, about 200 people a week, and they all have special needs. Our youngest client is 2. Our oldest is in his 80s. Our oldest ever to ride with us was 98 years young. And it's volunteerism that makes what we do work. We only have 13 full-time staff. We have 16 part-time and contract staff, and yet we're able to work with 195, 200 on a good day, of the most extraordinary people you'll ever meet. And it takes everything and more that comes from you, our spectacular volunteers. I'm assuming that you'll want to become volunteers. Notice the assumptive. That comes from our volunteers to make our lives work. And this little person is just one of my favorite. They're all my favorites, but you see the joy, you see the happiness on his face. And you'll see at the Shea Center a child learn to walk, learn to talk, an adult who had a stroke take their first independent steps. And you'll see these things at all of the magnificent nonprofit organizations that serve our country throughout the year. Our mission, we're dedicated to improving the lives of people with disabilities through therapeutic horse-related programs. And we do that in a really unique way. Think of us like a clinic on 7 acres. Come to the Shea Center, it's a beautiful day down there. And you'll see physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech and language pathologists doing the work that we do with our clients with incredible volunteers like Denise. Jim Washburn is here today from DPR Construction. Julie Frost is here. The company she and her husband founded is Data Allegro. And both of their companies have been intimately involved with the Shea Center in really doing things at our facility, much like our friends at Claim Jumper did, using corporate volunteerism as a way to really build and strengthen the community that is their work community. We are one of the largest therapeutic equestrian centers in the United States. There's about 800 of us nationwide, and they range from, I have a backyard, I have a horse, and I want to do a really good thing for society, to the 5 of us that have multi-million-dollar budgets. But in the great scheme of things, when we're in the room here with some of you who represent companies like Raytheon, Boeing, DPR, who's a $2.5 billion construction company, we are a relatively small line item compared to what you do from a business standpoint. But when you add the collective of who we are as a national group of organizations, I'd like you to consider some things that maybe you hadn't thought about before. For us at Shea, we have over 1,000 volunteers every year. About 600 of those are in our lessons, which is how we met Denise and her beautiful daughter, Emily. Our giving to the Shea Center is $2.5 million a year it takes to operate what we do and change the lives of the people that we see. And talent, everybody has a gift to share. We think of the 3 T's of philanthropy, time, treasure, and talent, as a way for us to measure the good that we're able to do in the world. Now, this is what volunteerism looks like at Shea. This is Jim, who's sitting here at this front table in the top photo. Jim is the innovation manager for DPR, and at one point had 250 people working for him. But here at the Shea Center, he is a servant to our clients, and he helps change their lives. One of the things that I loved in a corporate moment is that when we hosted one of DPR's corporate meetings, think about, instead of coming to a hotel, no offense, love the Marriott, they're good friends, but if you decide to come to an alternative venue and come to Shea, which he did with his group of employees, about 100 of them there, and one of his employees came up to me and said, you know what, seeing my boss out there walking and working with a child who has special needs gives me a whole new picture of who he is as a person and how I can work with him. He's pretty cool. This guy, I can work for this guy. And I didn't pay him. I didn't pay him to say that. And Jim didn't pay him to say that. It was a really remarkable moment in our corporate volunteerism. And Julie is the beautiful woman in the red dress. She leads our group of our gala committee. And our gala committee is responsible for 30% of our revenue every year. Our 2 events make up 55% of our operating revenue of $2.5 million. No public money, no government money, no insurance money. Every year, in real time, we raise our money to support our clients and do the work that we do. We change the lives of the people we see. And we change the lives, interestingly, of the people who come and volunteer. I have a lot of people who say to me, I get into this volunteering because I'm here to do something. You know, I love the horses. I love the horses, I love animals, but they come once they see what we do and they get hooked on the progress and the people that are there. It's a joyous place, as are many, many nonprofit organizations. And we really focus on what good can we do. And in talking with Brent at our table here today, in talking about some of the activities that you do with the examiners and the volunteerism that goes on there, that is just extraordinary. You don't know what changes you've made in the lives of the companies and the people that you've gone to visit until you actually really get a moment that's in a retrospective and you say, wow, this really did make a change either for you or for the individual that you were volunteering to go visit that company or be an examiner or be a visitor. We have a similar program in the therapeutic riding world. It's a peer review program. And we actually, instead of counting the number of standards, which is about 120 standards, we actually weigh it. The volume is about 15 pounds of standards that we comply with. So safety first is everything that we are all about at the Shea Center. And what we focus on too, and this is why in coming to speak today, I thought it was fascinating to consider all of the things that you are about. There were 90 Baldrige Award winners to date. in 2010, applications for the awards represented 277,000 jobs, 1,500 workplace locations, $38 billion in revenue, and an estimated 80 million customers served. That is just an astronomical amount. And for you to be a part of this program that ensures that you're able to provide the highest quality to your customers and respond to them is really a truly, truly exceptional thing. The value of the services rendered by the 578 Baldrige examiners in 2010 is estimated to be about $8.8 million, with over 2,200 examiners volunteering more than $29 million at the state level to evaluate 1,350 organizations. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of numbers. But what it represents is a tremendous amount of volunteerism, which is what we were talking about today and earlier today. How many nonprofits in the United States? 1.5 million. How much money was given in 2011? $300 billion. It's an extraordinary number. And how much of that is given from individuals? And that's you and me. This isn't Mr. Gates. It's not any of the really well-known philanthropists we see. It's individuals like you and me who contribute to our churches, to the organizations that mean something to us. It's $217 billion. That's a lot of good that can be done in the world. And how much of this from corporations? Another extraordinary $14.5 billion. How this all ties in? Well, let's think about it for a minute. What's the number one reason people give? Now, those of you who came to my class, what's the number one reason people give? Anybody care to guess? Brent. Oh, it's a feel-good thing. Yes, that's true too. It's in the top 20, but the number one reason people give is because they're asked. The number 17 reason people give is tax donation. I'd like you to notice it's not even in the top 5. It's not. Because we don't evaluate, a lot of us do not evaluate our lives based on how much of a tax deduction we get. Number 2 is very close to what Brent is saying in its belief in the mission of the organization. This is a fascinating number. 26.8% of Americans volunteer. That's 64.3 million people. But who are these people? They're age 35 to 54. They're slightly more men than women. Married people have an edge on those who've never volunteered. Parents more than non-parents. I love this number. 42.4% of our volunteers in this country have a college education versus 18% of those who do not. Now, I don't know the reasons and the whys and the wherefores behind it. I don't make any assumptions about whether you've gone to college, you're better or not. It just means that it's interesting to me what education does in opening a person's viewpoint. And for those of you who support educational nonprofits, this should be a reason for you to feel good about that as well. Where do people volunteer? They volunteer at their church. They volunteer in their education, whether it's their kids. Youth-related activities at their church groups or their kids' activities, soccer, social things, community service. They volunteer to make a difference in the world. And what do? It's an interesting thing. They do fundraising, they do food-related things, collecting, distributing, serving. They are volunteer examiners for the Baldrige Awards. They are volunteer visitors. Men, you like to do labor. You typically like to do things that involve lifting, hammer, nails, tractors. We have tractors at Shea, by the way. I'm just saying, okay? If you like heavy machinery, we have tractors. It's a perk. Women, fundraising, tutoring, food-related activities. I volunteer at my church in our food bank, in our Sunday supper program. Didn't realize, even though I am a career nonprofit professional, I didn't realize that even my daily work was not enough. I needed to be a volunteer. I needed to have something inside that said I could go and take back to work the sustenance I get from giving back. It was a complete surprise to me. But for those of you who've read Peter Drucker, remember what the 7th habit is of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? It's sharpening the saw. And sharpening the saw can be a lot of things. It can be volunteerism. It can be anything that renews you from the inside out. Now, what we were talking about in the nonprofit sector is the number one reason people volunteer is because they're asked. Really, that's it. They're asked. And in Nonprofit 101, now we know we have 1.5 million in organizations. We have 13.5 million people employed in the nonprofit sector. It is, by the way, the third largest employment sector behind retail, trade, and manufacturing. It's astonishing to realize that. So when you think about employee volunteer programs, this is really what we were talking about in our little session that we were doing. The value of employee volunteer organization programs can really be examined closely when you look at the fact that you have an enormous sector that has an awful lot of skills to offer in this third largest labor force. And I'll just give you a couple more points so we can stay on track for your schedule. In the great scope of things, why volunteer? Moving ahead here. Employee volunteer programs really do change the world. They give people a sense of ownership that gives them a chance to feel more productive. They carry that back to their workplace. If you would like to know more about everything that we were talking about, I would be happy to email you what we talked about or even talk to you directly. I just feel so strongly about philanthropy as a way to change the world for the better, including your companies. There is study after study that shows by implementing and employing employee volunteer programs, you make a change for the better. You get your productivity goes up, your bottom line goes up. I've got lots of statistics for those of you who need statistics. For those of you who want to feel good, it improves morale. It even reduces depression for some of your employees, which i.e. reduces healthcare costs for those of you HR people. It also reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease. If you volunteer at the Shea Center, you're going to walk a mile an hour in one of our lessons. And one of the greatest risks to the workforce now is sitting still. Because in 1960, we were all moving around. Now it's only 1 in 5 who are moving around at work. I would give you a couple of thoughts. You are not here merely to make a living. You are here to enable the world to live more amply, with greater vision, with a finer spirit of hope and achievement. You are here to enrich the world, and you impoverish yourself if you forget this errand. That's Woodrow Wilson. Another thought. We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. And this is Sir Winston Churchill. But in our community, in our same time, thank you for helping Maddie learn to walk. This is a Shea Center parent talking to Maddie's volunteer. Imagine what that would feel like for you if you are Maddie's volunteer and you carry that back into your workplace. I heard just a little story that Jim was telling. Jim moves mountains at work. They are in construction after all. And he says, I move mountains at work and nobody says a thing. I go down to the Shea Center and I scoop something and everybody says, thank you. So know that you volunteer because you want to make a difference. You help with these companies and what you've done for the Baldrige Awards because you change things and you make them better. So thank you for allowing me a moment to say hello and to thank you for the volunteerism you do here in your own communities and for getting to know a little bit more about the Shea Center. So good luck and thank you very much and congratulations to all of you today.
Okay, thank you very much. Continuing along on the theme of volunteerism, we'd like to take some time now to recognize the volunteers that make our programs work. And those are the CAPE volunteers, the CTEA volunteers, the Board of Director volunteers, and all of the volunteers that make this program work. And it's more than that, because without those volunteers, there wouldn't be those programs that I just mentioned. We only have one full-time employee. Everything else is done by volunteers. And so we want to take a little time now and recognize some of those volunteers. But before we do that, I also want to thank all of the organizations that support and allow the volunteers to participate in these programs. Because if those organizations didn't do that, I'm sure we wouldn't have the volunteers that we have today. So you can't recognize the volunteers without recognizing their supporting organizations too. So I don't want to let that get away from us. So we're going to start with some groups, and the first group we'll start with is the CCE Board of Directors. So Denise, if you'd like to come up and do that.
Thank you, Rob. Where'd the script go? Okay, supposed to be open with my name saying, Denise, say this. Pardon me while I flip over to my wonderful board members. Okay, fortunately I know who they are. I could probably do this without the script. But starting with our wonderful, I'm going to ask the board members, and by the way, just for two little housekeeping issues. First of all, Dana, thank you for an incredible presentation. What a perfect lead into our volunteer appreciation lunch. So another round of applause, because she volunteered to be here today, and her team. But also, a couple of more things. The parking fee, if you're leaving the conference today or tomorrow, the parking is reduced by 50% for our guests. So make sure you tell the gentleman at the gate that you're with CCE, and it'll be reduced substantially. And then the other thing, Shelby, was there anything else you wanted me to share with them? Okay, we're good there. Okay, that sounds good. I would like to ask our board members to stand and continue to stand until all the board members are recognized. David, I'm going to start with you because David is our vice chair, as you heard earlier today. So thank you, Dr. Spong, for your ongoing dedication to the federal and state program with Baldrige. Not with us today is Mr. Wayne Furt, who is our prior treasurer. He is going to be remaining on our board this next year in 2013, which I'm thrilled to be. But Wayne is a very busy guy, running 4 hospitals, 28 health clinics, and over a 3,000 square mile radius. So his boss actually asked him to come to a meeting today. He was planning to be here. He's a national examiner, and I believe he has some employees in the room. We could let Wayne know how we're missing him today. Yes, quite a few people from Adventist Health here today, so we thank you for that. We also have Ms. Sherelle Aberwine. Please stand, Sherelle. She has served as our board secretary for the last 2 years and will remain on this next year. Sherelle is with the Computer Sciences Organization, and as far as I remember being a board member, Sherelle and I have been working together, and I deeply appreciate you and your husband, Ken. Is he with you? Oh, he's upstairs working. Well, how kind of him. But Ken, and you may remember in prior, we didn't have the signage we have at this conference. They were the human arrows, going this way, going that way. So thank you, Sherelle, for all that you do for the organization. Debbie Collard is not with us today because Debbie did accept a promotion with Boeing this last, about a year and a half ago, but she actually is closing in a home in Seattle. She still lives in Laguna Niguel, but she is to continue to be our immediate past chair on our board. So thank you, Debbie, for your past and also present contribution to the board. Howard Chambers is retired from the Boeing company, and Howard is not with us today, but Howard, you came. Where'd you come? You snuck in. Please stand. I didn't want to say I left a message this morning going, Howard, where are you? We're waiting for you in the board meeting. So thank you, Howard, for coming. Howard is our chair emeritus, and it's important to note the reason we gave him this elite title is because we never want him to leave the board because of his prior great leadership of CCE. Right? Okay. And then we have Ron Bain, who's with us today. Please stand, Ron. Ron has been with ASQ and a big, huge supporter of our CTA programs for years. I'm sad to say that this is his last year as a current board member, but he'll be a longtime family friend for many, many years to come. He says with a smile on his face. Thank you, Ron. And then one of our newer board members, Mr. David Blanco. If you could please stand. David is in the position of government relations for our board, and as you will see as we present a very special award tonight at the end of our award ceremony, David's made a huge contribution to our board, and we really appreciate his wisdom and knowledge. He's very well connected here in California, so we're looking forward to working with him in the future as well. And then we have Mr. Brent Duggleby. Many of you know Brent. He's been on stage earlier today. Brent has been serving as CAPE chair the last 2 years, and he will continue on the board. However, he's been promoted, if you will, to the executive position of treasurer for our board, which we're very grateful for, and we'll hear a little bit more about Brent a little bit later. Then Ken Devane, where are you? There you are. Thank you. Ken Devane has been our healthcare representative for 2012. Thank you so much, Ken, for all that you've done for our board. And Vern Goodwald. There he is. Vern has been on our board since before he had gray hair. A few years ago, and he's been our fearless leader of our Team's Excellence Program, which we are very grateful to you for, and you're going to continue to lead that for the next several years, so we really appreciate that. So, oh, you did. Tom Harkenreiter. Oh, there he is. Tom is with Soka University. And he has been a longtime friend of our family, and he remains responsible. Yeah, he's kind of noting his gray hair too. His responsibilities is running our regional councils for the organization and keeping those alive and well. Deborah Mathias, who's not with us for lunch today, but she'll be back. She was here earlier today, but had a meeting to go to. She'll be back with us later today. Deborah became our board member when she was a member of the CHOC leadership team. She was the chief operating officer. However, she's now moved on to Health Management Associates and is going to continue to remain in a member at large position on our board. And then Rachel, where are you, my friend? There she is. Rachel Ramirez, president of Performance Excellence Partners. She's been a long-time member. She joins David with the government relations team, so thank you for all your hard work and effort. Always good to see your face in the audience. And then Margaret, last but not least, where are you, Margaret? There she is. Margaret No Utley with the Raytheon Company. Again, Raytheon, thank you boys in the back for all that you're doing for us today. They're now filming. They'll be filming tonight's award ceremony, so all of you here will be able to share this event and tonight's event, the award ceremony itself, with your employees. So thank you, Margaret, for your generous sponsorships and all your support in many, many ways. The last two people I'd like to recognize are our incoming board members that we voted on this morning. So Beth Rowett with Children's Hospital of Orange County, Vice President of Quality. And Ms. Cherie Graham-Clark with Sharp Healthcare in San Diego. Thank you. All right, thank you all so much. And now, Brent, if you'd come to the stage, we'll present some of the volunteer awards. And I'll leave the script open for you, Betty.
Thanks, Denise. It's good to take a little bit of time right now to focus in on the CAPE examiners and the CAPE, all the people that are involved in making the CAPE process work well. Literally thousands and thousands of hours every year are spent by these volunteers in all their various capacities. Our volunteers include examiners, the ones that actually examine the applicants and their applications, conduct the site visits, also the senior examiners that help coordinate and give a vast amount of time up and above and beyond the actual time spent on assessing the application specifically. Trainers who develop the training programs, who certify the examiners, judges, just a tremendous number of people that are involved in this CAPE process. I'd like to recognize some of these different groups. So first of all, if you are a member of the CAPE Council, could you please stand? Member of the CAPE Council. Let's give the CAPE Council. Thank you. The next group I'd like to have stand up is the senior examiners. We have a number of senior examiners in the room today. So, okay. And one of the things you'll see is that sometimes people stand up several times because they have a lot of different roles and responsibilities. The next is, let's take a look at the judges. We have judges from the CAPE Council here today. I know we have several of them here. All right, great, thank you. And then if you've been involved as a trainer, coach, or any other activity that I didn't mention that's a CAPE-related activity, could you please stand and let's give you a hand? Okay, thank you very much. Now, each year, the CAPE Council has a very difficult task of identifying the volunteers who make a contribution to the program that just stand out from all the others. And that's a very, very difficult thing to do. Matter of fact, we actually have a CAPE Council chair that actually works doing that. These volunteers are nominated by their peers, and the recognition committee reviews the nomination and selects our CAPE Council Volunteer Awards. And Grace Benedicto and Robert Sewell co-chair and run that particular operation. So our first category of awards is the CAPE Bear Award recipients. The CAPE Bear Award is given to individuals who are nominated by their peers as an outstanding leader and/or role model. The CAPE Bear recipients have been seen making a significant improvement in the CAPE process or as an outstanding volunteer at the examiner level. somehow making a positive difference to their team or their coworkers who are well respected. As I call the Bear Award recipients, please hold your applause until all the recipients are on stage, and then we'll recognize them all together. And we'll call their names off and also identify their employer. As Denise indicated, the support of the employers and the organizations that are behind our volunteers is incredibly important. Okay, so I'll start reading the names. As you hear your name, you can come on up here. Angela Baumeister with Adventist Health Central Valley Network. Alice Van, Goodwill, Southern California. Charlene Ashton, Christine Pickering, Adventist Health Central Valley Network. David Harrington, Center for Neuroskills. Debbie Lawrence, Analog Devices. Deborah Amin, Superior Solutions. Denton Gruinski, Feather River Hospital. Derek Gruen, Adventist Health Central Valley Network. Diane Ankers Consulting. Doris Tess Carpenter, Adventist Health Central Valley Network. Grace Benedicto with the LA City Community Development Department. Didn't get her name in as a senior this year because she took over a team midstream, and we thank you for that extra effort there. Jennifer Niswanger, Adventist Health Central Valley Network. Kimberly Lowe, Adventist Health Central Valley Network. Lori Patton, Q-Logic Corporation. Lisa Salazar, City of LA Community Development Department. Laura Tucker, Adventist Health Central Valley Network. Louis Kalingo, Woodbury University. Marta Mahoney, UCS San Bernardino. Melbourne Sattler, GNB Valves. Peggy Romary, Delta Dental of California. Robert Sewell Consulting. Rebecca Williams, Feather River Hospital. Shauna Pierce, Good Samaritan Hospital, Los Angeles. And Steve George, Topin Photo Mask. All right. All right, it's really these people represent a tremendous contribution to both the CAPE program, CCE, and the state of California collectively. So we all appreciate their efforts, and let's give them a hand. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, our next special volunteer category is going to be the CAPE Examiner of the Year. The 2012 CAPE Examiner of the Year award goes to Megan O'Keefe. Demonstrating one of the principles of Baldridge, Megan was agile as taking on the role of a just-in-time addition to a CAPE team, and this is after actually having served in the 2012 National Award Program. So she's basically was involved in two complete different programs. She's a tireless examiner who took on multiple categories and drove the process through consolidation, consensus, and through site visit. She's very professional and always willing to lend a hand to other examiners when they need other coaching. Some of the recommendations that were submitted to the recognition committee indicated that Megan had used her examining skills that she learned at CAPE and in the national program in helping to develop other examiners' comments and their skills. She has exceptional time management and has coached other team members. She's team-oriented and provides clear, constructive feedback. So thank you very much, Megan. Congratulations. Our next special category volunteer award goes to the CAPE Senior Examiner of the Year. And that person is David Miller. Now, David's unable to join us. His actually works up in Sacramento with the state. He was added to an examination team and accepted the role of senior leader on a very short notice. David assumed the leadership of the team and completed the evaluation process, including the site visit for one of our very large applicants. He was able to instill confidence in his team, ensure the applicant received a fair and thorough site visit, and produced a quality feedback report. Oh, by the way, David also served as a lead examiner on another CAPE team that didn't go to site visit. And that didn't get him out of having to do a feedback report for that one too. So David this year actually completed and facilitated two feedback reports. He must like this because actually I've known David for years and years, and he's concerned, I don't even know how many years, but at least a decade he served as a senior every single year. So congratulations, David. Then the next CAPE Volunteer Award we have goes to the CAPE Volunteer of the Year. And sometimes we wonder, in some organizations there is, is there a sequence? Is it my turn for the award? Well, this year's winner, John Corbett, actually won this last year. So it's not simply his time. He's earned it both times. So let's give John a hand. The recipient of the CAPE Volunteer The recipient of the CAPE Volunteer of the Year Award must have served on a CAPE Council committee, and John was as the vice chair and is the 2013 chair of the CAPE Council, as an examiner or head coach, a trainer in another critical capacity on behalf of CAPE or some other activity. They must demonstrate outstanding personal dedication to the CAPE cause and superior skills in achieving the mission of the CAPE program. They must also demonstrate innovation, effectiveness, and dependability in achieving the CAPE mission, which includes the use of new ideas and problem solving. Finally, they must be highly regarded by peers, customers, and the CAPE Council. So thank you very much, John. Let's give John a hand. Now honored to introduce the chair of the California Team Excellence Awards program, Vern.
Thank you, Brent. Gee, it's great to look out over and see so many quality people out here doing some great things. So it's really, what a sea of you. Thank you. CTA, the Team Excellence Criteria Award Program, wants to recognize their leaders who have done great things this year. The CTE Council members, for the year round, they just don't work for the program is being done here. It's year-round to identify, recruit best practice teams and teams in the early stages of conducting problem-solving and process improvement projects. They also are training judges to assure the quality team assessment is made and appropriate recognition for the accomplishments of the team's excellence. This year, I'd like to recognize the council. Would the council members please rise, please, and be recognized? And you notice that there's some double dippers out here? They've been standing up and down and getting your exercise, John. Also, we have a team of judges, which each year we take the dedicated time to take and train judges to judge both the Gold Rush and the Gold Nugget Awards program. There's a difference between the two. The Gold Rush, they submit an application and it's submitted to a judge, senior judge, to take and look through that and give them a feedback report. But the other judges study and plan for this when they do the live presentations to be able to give a detailed feedback report that is actionable for the teams to be able to take and do better. So would the judges please stand and be recognized? Yeah, wherever you are. We have quite a few of them are up north also, and also have travel issues involved with that. Then also, we take and look at going beyond that from the standpoint of looking at the volunteers of the year in our organization. I'd like to take at this point in time recognize a senior judge. The CTE Council and team judges are comprised of individuals representing a broad range of industries and also professional knowledge. These dedicated volunteers bring to the table great bodies of knowledge and direct experience, leadership, and team skills using problem-solving and process improvement approaches, and also quality tools. These skills set and sustain the CTA and make also it possible to bring quality program and positive experiences to our customer, who are the teams, the team applicants, and their organization. We recognize today as a senior team judge, Ron Bain. Congratulations, Ron. And I think you know this next person. We also recognize the Volunteer of the Year. And in this case, he knows where his position is at. He's right on cue, and I appreciate that very much. In most cases, the CTA council members were more than one hat, as you found out. In John's cases, he was also made a significant contribution in all functions committees in 2012. These included the marketing, team recruiting, team judging, conference, and awards committee, plus also his effort as far as developing our website as well too, which is very, very important. So again, another Volunteer of the Year in the CTA, John Corbett.
Okay, we'd like to recognize one individual as the CCE Volunteer of the Year. This individual, this award is given to an individual who's made a significant contribution to CCE throughout the year. This year, the award goes to Alan Ichikawa, who's been a respected member of the Cape Council and the judges panel for many years. Alan has volunteered countless hours making a difference and providing insightful guidance throughout every level of the organization. This year, he served as the chair of the Cape Board of Judges, and we proudly award him the CCE Volunteer of the Year Award.
And just so you'll know, these awards are peer nominated. Our staff sends, Trish, our staff member, sends out a survey monkey to all of the volunteers that work throughout the entire year for CCE and its programs, CAPE and CTA. So all the awards here today weren't decided by Brent or myself, Rob. They were really decided on by the people that they worked side by side with, which I think is, in my opinion, that much more meaningful. So congratulations to all of you again. However, there's one more award. You know, CCE is the parent organization for CAPE and CTA, and Alan just won the award for CCE because he's really done so much for all of our programs throughout the years. And we have another really, in my mind, sort of our Lifetime Achievement Award, and it's because of a person dedicating so much time over years This is a person that doesn't focus on CAPE, doesn't focus on CTA, but really every program we have. And I mentioned earlier to you that I would share a little bit more about Brent Duggleby with you later in the day. And so today I'm really pleased to have, and his charming wife is with us as well today, Brent. So I'd like to share a little bit about Brent with you. Brent and I actually met many years ago, complete strangers, probably 15 years ago. We were thrown into a room, and I won't say who, but a big accounting company, no longer with us, that tells you anything. And they hand us these awards. They were providing Orange County's best business practices. And Brent and I were asked to be the judges. We walked in this room, and they handed us all these applications, and I looked at Brent, and I said, hey, do you have any idea how we're supposed to judge these things? And he looked at me, he said, nope. And we sort of developed a fondness for criteria at the time, but this is before we became involved in the Baldridge, and so lo and behold, we parted our ways and came up again, and we met each other again at the Cape Forum, and we've been together volunteering ever since then. So we do have a little bit of a history. So did you guys know that at one time in California, it's a trivia question, there was actually another state Baldridge program called CalQED? Anybody remember that organization? Okay, there you go. Well, CAPE was obviously the only, living, surviving partner of the Baldridge program in today's world, but Brent was also a very involved volunteer in the CalQED program. So this isn't just about CAPE, it's also CalQED. He has served as a judge in California for our CAPE program from 2003, 2004, 8, 9, and 10. He also was very involved, as you all know, from the CAPE chair position this last 2 years in leadership and providing a lot of good earned hard time and effort with our program as he served as chair of the CAPE program. So he's also served on the national program as an examiner and for the Malcolm Baldridge National Quality Award from 1995 to 1999. And it's really my honor and privilege to work alongside of Brent. A lot of times when I'm sort of thinking, leadership issue here, who I really want to talk to, and sometimes I call Brent and say, can you just share some time with me? And we talk things over, and he's really been good counsel for me as your chair, so I appreciate that. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Brent Duggleby on stage to achieve the Chairman's Award for Performance Excellence.
Thank you very much. This is indeed an amazing honor, and I just thank you so much for that. One of the things that Dana mentioned in her talk is why do people volunteer? And that's, since she asked that and since she gave the answer, I found that to be very true for myself as well. Because you really believe in the cause. You believe in the mission of the organization. And, I have 3 kids. They're just shortly, last 3 or 4 years, have all gone out into the workforce and making their way in society. And I truly feel for them in terms of what they can do in the world. And I think CAPE, Baldridge, and Performance Excellence will greatly enhance their ability and the probability of them having a life that I've been able to enjoy. And that's important to me, and one of the reasons I do this. And thanks to Denise and Rob for mentioning all the things, and that probably explains to my wife, why late at night sometimes I'm up in the computer room doing some things, or gone on a weekend or a site visit, and thank you for allowing me to do that. So again, thank you everybody, this is incredible.
Congratulations, Brent. And thank you, Denise and Brent and Vern, for your presentations. And once again, thanks to all of the volunteers that really make our business operate. I can't express enough appreciation for what you do. And I hope that those of you that aren't volunteers either become a volunteer or at least take the time to thank the volunteers that we have. And again, thank the organizations that allow these people to participate in these programs. Without that, we wouldn't have one. So now I'd like to offer you all the opportunity to attend some of our afternoon workshops. I think we've got a couple of good ones going, and I hope you do that. And then I look forward to seeing all of you at the Eureka Awards dinner tonight. Thank you very much.